Hello there, Algebra students. This is Mr. Kashi speaking. In this video, we're going to go through we're going to go review 10.3 and 10.4 on multiplying binomials. If you can remember, we went over a couple of different methods on how to do that. The two most popular were the FOIL method and the box method. So we're going to do one of each. I'm going through these slides here. So the first one is going to be the FOIL method. So the FOIL method, the F stands for multiplying the first. So that would be m times m. Then the O stands for outside. So that would be 1 times m. And then the I stands for inside. That would be 4 times m. And then the L stands for last, so that would be 4 times 1. Now that seems like quite a bit of math. Just to kind of clean it up here, we have m times m, which would be m squared. This would be 1m plus 4m plus 4. And then what we would do is we would combine those two middle terms. So our final answer would be m squared plus 5m plus 1. A lot of students could probably skip this first step right here and just move on to that second step. Another example over here to the right would be x minus 5 times x plus 3, and we're going to do the box method. So the box method is going to look like this, and we're going to put a little cross in there, and so we have x and we have negative 5, and here we have x and we have 3. And then we use this kind of like a multiplication table. So we do x times x, which would be x squared. We have x times 3, which that would be 3x. We have negative 5 times x, that would be negative 5x. And then we have negative 5 times 3, that would be negative 15. Now the only thing that you need to do is you have to make sure that you combine like terms, which the x terms are the only ones that are going to be like terms here. So our final answer would look like x squared, and then we have a negative 5x plus 3x, that would give us a negative 2x, and then we just have the minus 15 at the end. So there's two examples of multiplying binomials, one with the FOIL method, one with the box method. Okay, go ahead and rewind if you need to take some notes, but on to the next slide here. We have some other ones that have numbers in front of the variable. So we want to go through a couple of one. I'll do a FOIL method again. So on this one here, we would have 3c times c, which is 3c squared. Then we have 3c times negative 2. That would be a minus 6c. Then we have 1 times c, that would be plus 1c. And then we have 1 times negative 2, which would be a minus 2. And once again, we would just combine the like terms in the middle. So our final answer would be 3c squared minus 5c, a negative 6 plus 1, that would give us the negative 5, and then the minus 2. So multiplying those out, that would be simplified down to that. And then for our box method, over here again, we'll create a box. Down the side, we'd have 6d, and then we'd have a negative 5, and here we have a 4d and a negative 7. Okay, and then multiplying them out again, just like a multiplication table, we have 6 times 4, that would be 24, and then we'd have d squared, because there's two d's. Then we have a negative 7 times 6d, that would be a negative 42d. We have a negative 5 times a positive 4d, that would be a negative 20d. And then we have a negative 5 times a negative 7, that would be negative 35. Once again, we have to combine like terms, so this diagonal is what we need to combine. So our final answer would look like 24d squared, and then we have a negative 42 and a negative 20. That would be a negative 62d, and then the minus 35 is last. Okay, so a couple more examples of multiplying binomials. just to kind of review both these answers we would call quadratic trinomials. Quadratic because the first term is squared, and trinomials because there are 3 terms with them. Okay, moving on to the 10-4 review, and 10-4 is a lot like 10-3. It's just knowing how to start. So this x plus 6 squared, we're going to use the FOIL method, but before we do that, we're going to write it out. So we just have x plus 6 times x plus 6. So that squared just means that we're writing the same thing twice. Then we'd FOIL it out, so we have x times x, which is x squared. Then we have x times 6, which would be 6x. And then on the inside, that would be another 6 times x, so that would be 6x as well. And then the last, the L, would be 6 times 6, and that would be 36. Then we need to combine those middle terms. So we have x squared, and then 6x plus 6x, that would give us a 12x plus 36, just like that. Over here, we have r minus 3 squared. So we'd write that out. We'd have r minus 3 times r minus 3. We'd go r times r. That's our first. That's the f in FOIL. Oh, sorry. Let's go back. We can do r minus 3, but we're doing the box method here. Okay, so then we would have r and negative 3 here, and r and negative 3 there. Sorry about that. R times r, this would be r squared. And then we have r times negative 3, so we have negative 3r. Another negative 3 times r, so we have a negative 3r. And negative 3 times negative 3, that would be a positive 9. So once again, combine our diagonal terms there, so we'd have a final answer of r squared. Negative 3 plus a negative 3, that would be a negative 6r plus 9. So those are 2 examples of the 10-4 review. We have a couple more that we want to go through. And so this here we are still using the FOIL and the box method, but something happens when we go to combine our like terms. So here we have our first one would be z squared, and then we would have z times negative 3, which that would be a negative 3z. Then our inside would be a positive 3z, and then we have 3 times a negative 3, that would be a negative 9. And something happens when we go to combine those like terms. We have a negative 3z and a positive 3z, so those actually cancel each other out, and we're left with z squared minus 9. Z squared minus 9. There we go. All right. And then something similar happens over here, even if we're doing the box method. Right? If we have an a here, negative 5, a, and a positive 5. So in the upper left-hand corner, that would be a squared. This would be 5a, 5 times a, and then we have a negative 5a, and we have negative 25. And once again, once we go to combine those diagonal terms, those cancel out. We have negative 5a and 5a. It's our Canadian problem, a. And then, so that would go down to simplify to a squared minus 25. All right, so those are a handful of examples. I know it kind of went quick, but you can pause, go back, write notes, just reviewing the problems that we went through for 10-3 and 10-4.